This is why your belly fat is still there, even after you've lost weight. So I went from 70 kilos to 60 kilos. And while I lost weight, I still had a chubby belly. Now, being back up to 70 kilos, I've stripped the belly fat completely. The first reason your belly fat is still there is because your belly is the last place on your body that fat will be lost from. Men tend to store fat in their lower stomach area. It's the first place that fat is gained, and it's the last place that fat is lost from. When you begin to eat in calorie deficits, meaning you're consuming less calories than you're burning, and so you begin to lose fat, that fat actually doesn't come off from your body in equal proportions. So the fat that you do lose will tend to come off your face, your back, and your arms, more so than your lower stomach area. So when I first lost 10 kilos of fat, my face significantly leaned up, but I still had that belly fat. And it's because the belly fat comes off last, but the face fat comes off first. So you can still lose a significant amount of weight and fat, but you'll still have that belly fat because it's just the last part on your body that fat will come off from. Belly fat is also the hardest to get rid of because by the time you get to the stage where your belly fat is actually ready to come off, i.e., you've already shredded the fat from your face, from your arms, from your back, and so it's time for the fat on your stomach to come off. At that point in time, your calories have to be at their lowest to continue to be in calorie deficits to actually lose that fat. So for example, let's say you start cutting on the 1st of January. At that point in time, your basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories you burn at rest every day, is 2,500. So in order to be in a calorie deficit, you've got to eat less than 2,500 calories. So you might be eating 2,200 calories every day and you'll begin to lose fat. But because it's the beginning of your cut, that fat will more likely come from your face, from your arms, and from your back. By 4 months into your cut, so on the 1st of April, you will have shredded a lot of weight and a lot of fat. And that fat would have come from your face, from your arms, and from your back. And now you're at the point in your cutting phase where if you continue to cut, you'll be able to strip the belly fat. But because you've been eating at 2,200 calories for 4 months now, your basal metabolic rate will have dropped because your body has adapted. So the amount of calories you burn at rest after 4 months of cutting might now be, say, 2,000 calories. And in order to continue to be in calorie deficits, you would now have to eat less than 2,000 calories to continue to lose fat, as opposed to 2,500 when you first began your cut. So to lose the belly fat, you've got to cut even harder and restrict your calories even more. And that's why it's so difficult to get rid of that belly fat. And it's why it's so stubborn, because eating less than 2,000 calories is quite restrictive. You feel hungry all the time. You might feel low energy as well. And that's why I initially struggled to lose that belly fat, because I was just hungry all the time. I felt low energy. And so I would end up binge eating and I wouldn't be able to consistently be in calorie deficits because my BMR had just dropped so low. So it was so difficult for me to restrict my calories that much to continue to lose fat. So the solution for me was doing cardio. Because I found it so hard to limit my calorie intake, I instead focused on increasing my calorie expenditure in order to achieve a deficit. So I began doing more regular cardio sessions, 3 times a week for 45 minutes, and I'd burn 600 calories during that cardio session. So it meant I was able to achieve a calorie deficit by increasing my calorie burn, and I didn't have to limit my calorie intake. So I could eat really to my heart's content, but I would still be in a deficit because of the extra calories that I had burned. So I wasn't starving myself. I wasn't hungry all the time, and I still had energy. It sounds a bit counterintuitive to have even more energy despite expending more calories through the cardio and the weight training you're doing. But there's just this thing in your body where I think if you're more active, naturally you just get more energy because your body is ready to engage in more activity. So I would say keep the cardio low intensity though. Do it for 45 minutes straight, keep your heart rate low, and don't do any of the high intensity interval training because that tends to make you more hungry compared to if you just did lower intensity cardio. So I did a lot of slow runs, incline walking on the treadmill. Those were my 2 go-to cardio choices. because it's relatively low impact, it hasn't impacted my training in the gym. And a lot of people will say that cardio kills your gains or running kills your gains. But as long as you keep it low intensity and for only 45 minutes at a time, I don't really think it has that much impact on your recovery in the gym. Humans are made to run and are made to walk. So I think as long as you keep it low intensity, your recovery will be just fine. But most of all, I encourage you to experiment with cardio and find what works for you the best. You might find that rowing, cycling, or a different type of cardio suits you better. You might enjoy it more. You might find it has a higher calorie burn for you, or you might find it lower impact. Find the cardio that works for you and what you can stick to over the long term. So by consistently doing cardio, it meant I didn't worry about my calorie intake as much. Of course, it was still clean foods, but I was more consistently able to be in calorie deficits because of the consistently higher amount of calories I would burn day to day, despite my BMR having dropped. And that's what allowed me to continue losing fat and actually lose that belly fat. That's the last to come off. The second reason you still have belly fat is because you have a low muscle to fat ratio. When I started cutting weight, I wasn't training with weights at the same time. So I ended up losing fat, but I had no underlying muscle on my body. So I ended up with this soft look despite still having lost fat. So you need to be training with weights. You need to be in the gym lifting to develop your muscles, to grow your muscles, so you have a harder appearance in your lower stomach area. Specifically with your belly, you want to have a six pack. So you want to make sure your abs are developed in order for that appearance of your lower stomach region to be a harder, more defined appearance. I think a lot of people forget that part of the equation of getting a six pack is actually to train your ab muscles. I feel like the focus is always on losing fat rather than trying to build the muscles that are actually in your lower stomach area bigger. So the solution, if you want a more muscular lower belly, i.e. to have a six pack, you need to be doing specific training for your abs. There are two exercises you need to be doing. Number one, the hanging leg raise, and number two, cable crunches. The hanging leg raise works your lower two abs. So I would suggest if you're a beginner, start out with the back rest and do hanging leg raises that way. Then after a while, you'll be able to do them hanging from the bar, and you can just lift your knees up rather than keeping your legs straight. Then after a while, you can progress to keeping your legs straight. And then after that, you can progress to bringing your legs further up towards your face. It's a great exercise to be able to progressively overload on from week to week. You can easily add reps every set, or you can even add weight in between your legs when you do the exercise. The cable crunch works your mid to upper abs. This is a great exercise to do because it exposes your abs to weight. When you expose your abs to weight, you're maximizing the amount of stress that is placed on your abs, which is called mechanical tension. And when you maximize mechanical tension, that's when you're maximizing the ability of your ab muscles to grow bigger. It's also a great exercise to be able to progressively overload on because you can easily add weight from week to week just by adding weight on the stack, and you can also add reps week to week as well. Do 4 sets of these 2 exercises 2 to 3 times a week and your abs will grow. It only takes 10 to 15 minutes to do, and you can do them at the end of one of your other workouts. You need to be doing this to grow your ab muscles because otherwise your lower stomach area is always going to remain soft. And so you're always going to have that belly fat-like appearance, even if you're able to lose that belly fat. So if you learned anything from this video, please consider subscribing. We're getting to 20K subs soon, and I'll see you in the next one.